guys, it's Oscar. How you doing? I'm back again for another shave. So this one I'm keeping with kind of the trend I've been doing for myself the last few shaves. Is going to be products, some products acquired at the Big Shave West and or from participants at the Big Shave West. In this case, it's going to be both. It's going to be from Peter Sharkalis. I got another sample, and he of course was participating at the Big Shave West. And there's a sample of Hemingway, 1898 plus 1. Okay, can't really focus. 1898 plus 1. Now he calls it that because it is inspired by a cologne called 1899 by a company called, it's French, but it translates to Histories of Perfume. It's pronounced something along the lines of Histoire de Parfum, something or other. But interesting, if you don't already know, this label, this name are no longer available through the club because Peter, I guess they were afraid he was just going to take over the world with it, but the Hemingway estate evidently contacted him with cease and desist type threats, I guess. And so now it is being sold under the Novelist with a completely different picture that looks nothing like Hemingway. But they didn't like that he was using the name and the likeness. Which makes me wonder, man, if somebody at the foundation was actually a customer of Peter's, or did somebody just kind of snitch him out? I'm going for the latter. I think somebody dropped a dime on Peter. And now the rest of us suffer. Anyway, so I have a sample, about half of the sample pressed, dug it out, pressed it into my Diego thermal scuttles. And I'm going to start lathering while I talk a little bit. So you see from the picture that I posted at the beginning, I kind of got this inspiration to kind of do, I don't know, American Classics theme, if you will. So got the local Gent America brush, the Patriot, Karloff shape, local Gent shaving company, AMACK, game changer, not synthetic. So that, and then since Hemingway is timeless razor, see what I did there? That is the 9.5. I don't think it'll focus. It says 9.5 on the side with a Dorco ST301 blade. Now this is like my dark horse go-to low budget always dependable blade. I got a set of these in my very first box of, let me start lathering, in my very first box from the Wet Shave Club when I first started almost 3 years ago. And I've bought some more. They're cheap, but I've never had a bad experience with those blades. So hadn't used one in a while, so I'd break one out. I saw it down in my cabinet, so I thought I'd break it out. Now getting back to the soap, Peter on the club page describes the scent description as a bergamot, juniper. It's spicy, man. It's spicy. Bergamot, juniper, black pepper, orange blossom, vanilla, iris, vetiver, tobacco, and amber. So there's a lot going on in there, and he also compares it to he calls it a more refined version of Spice Bomb, the cologne Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf. If you haven't seen this, a bottle, it looks like a hand grenade. And that's all about, this is spicy, man. It's all about spice. And I haven't, I've been into the fragrance game for now, a little over a year now. I mean, to where I'm actually, you know, collecting a really good kind of arsenal. And Spice Bomb just wasn't one that really jumped out at me too much. I mean, it jumps out because it's very noticeable, it's very distinguishable. I mean, you know, nothing else really smells like it, but I don't know, it's a little too much on the spicy side for me. There's some citrus in it, but not enough for me. But then, you know, I don't know, it's growing on me. It's growing on me. I think I might pick some up. But now with the spring, with being in the spring and then summer coming, the weather getting warmer, these darker, warmer scents are just going to kind of have to wait maybe till later in the year. So now I'm going to be, you know, trying to do more kind of citrus scents, lighter, more aquatics, that kind of thing. So, but it's lathering up pretty well in the bowl. Just adding a little bit of water. And then so, yeah, getting back that picture that I posted, and I just had the idea. I mean, it wasn't very clever. But I had all these Hemingway books. And there, I kind of went through a period where I was all about, the way I put it was, hang on, let me wipe my face. The way I put it was, I wanted to get into those books and all the literature that I was supposed to read in high school that I just didn't because I wasted time, you know, being in high school. I remember in my junior year, I was in this American Lit class, or American Literature class, and a few of us in the class were actually on the advanced track, like for AP, for advanced placement classes. So what would happen is, there was 5 of us. We would report in the morning to the, beginning of the period. We would report to class for attendance, because it was like a regular American Lit class. Like I said, we were advanced track. We would report for attendance, and then we would go to the library for what was called independent study. We would get our assignments, we would go and spend the period in the library, whether it was for book reports or whatever it was the assignment was. And you know, you're a junior in high school, you're given that kind of freedom. You know, we'd extend our lunch, we would leave campus, but there was always the one studious one in the group who didn't want to get in trouble, who would do the work and let us copy. And that's what happened. So looking back, I kind of I had seen an infomercial or something for this publisher called the Easton Press. The Easton Press does all those classic books, but they do them leather bound, with the gold edging on the pages and all this stuff. And I thought it would be cool to start collecting those, because someday I would want to have, maybe a home office or something where it would look pretty cool to have all the leather bound books up there, and plus something to pass down, it was before Michael, but something to pass down to my kids or whatever. So what the Easton Press did was they had a series of books called The 100 Greatest Books Ever Written. And for something like $40 a month, they would send you a new volume. And then if you didn't like it, just send it back. If you wanted to keep it, then they'd charge you whatever. If you didn't want it, you just send it back and they'd refund you the money. So I built up a collection, swearing that I was going to get back into this reading. And I have started to read some, but then I go through my phases where I'm just too bored, I don't want to read, and then I'll get into it. But it's a really cool set. If you haven't seen it, it's called The 100 Greatest Books Ever Written by the Easton Press. Now, I have, the Hemingways and the Dickens and John Steinbeck and Fitzgerald and Mark Twain and those guys and Ayn Rand and some more modern ones, but yet the classics, Mice and Men, Count of Monte Cristo, Grapes of Wrath, the Hemingway books, the Mark Twain books. I have those, Moby Dick, I have them, just haven't cracked them all open because they're also shrink wrapped. So I always said, in order to try to keep the value of the books, in order to try to keep the value of the books, I would, keep them wrapped, not break them open because you don't want to wear out the spine. And then I would buy the paperback version and read it. So basically, the books for the longest time were a decoration. Were decorations. And I still don't have my home office. The books are sitting on bookshelves in the living room. Many of them still shrink wrapped. And I haven't got paperback versions for almost any of them. Those set of Hemingway books that are in the picture, I actually got a 6-book set of Hemingway on eBay. And I started to read one or two of them. Then I get interested in another book and I start to read that book. I think right now I'm in the middle of about 12 books. Depends on the mood. Anyway, so that's the story behind the picture. Got inspired by the soap. It really does smell great, Peter. Fantastic stuff. So I just kind of saw a theme for this shave and I kind of ran with it. And I finally got, I'm sorry, I got my 9.5 gap timeless head back. If you didn't know, I had put out on Facebook, on a couple of the groups, I had got the 9.5 and I put it out there if anybody had the 6.8 and wanted to maybe trade on a trial. You know, just to see if, you know, if we were comfortable with our purchases. And Joshua Carnavis answered. So we traded. He sent me his 6.8. I sent him my 9.5. I talked about this previously. And I just couldn't get on board with the 6.8. It was just too mild. I know too mild isn't a term you hear from me often, but it was just too mild. Couldn't enjoy it. Now getting the 9.5 back, I'm feeling definitely the difference is much more. I mean, the aggressiveness on the 9.5 is much more pronounced and evident than on the 6.8. Because look at the blade gap and the blade exposure. Yeah, a lot more aggressive. Excuse me while I rinse. But so yeah, I got the 9.5 back and I like it better. It's not gonna be a daily driver for me just because of the aggressiveness. But you know, on those days after I've been off for a few days and I haven't had to shave for work and I've had more growth, then yeah, it's great. So and this brush is definitely doing its magic, Rob. Fantastic work. The knot is awesome. Again, game changer, Anthony McKenzie. Speaking of Anthony McKenzie, I saw some drama regarding the South Florida wet shave or something or other. I guess Anthony McKenzie's kind of runs that group. And, you know, I saw who started it. A dude named Eddie Garcia. That guy, you know what I said last time about, in the last video about Bailey being kind of a passive aggressive shit stirrer. This guy Eddie Awesome, he calls himself on his Facebook. That guy is not passive aggressive. He is just a straight out shit stirrer. And today is not the first time I've seen this kind of thing from him. So, yeah. Anyway. So there's more of that shit going on. But yeah, whatever. So Peter, Charcalis for his club, talking about decanting, selling decants of fragrances. I think it's a good idea. Like I said, I've been in the fragrance game now for about a year. I mean, like, seriously, collecting and buying and whatnot. And, I mean, I've gotten a hold of some stuff. Oh, I got myself. I've gotten a hold of some stuff, fantastic stuff that I never even heard of, and who knows if I ever would have heard of it if I had never actually gotten into the game. So I think it's a great idea. You know, build your knowledge of fragrances. You know, try if you're into maybe matching fragrances with soaps, and you know, the fact that people like Peter and others are doing you know, fragrance dupes as far as their soaps and aftershaves. I think it's a great idea, and you're not out there spending, you know, hundreds of bucks for you know, for full bottles of stuff. That's one thing that really surprised me, is how expensive bottles of cologne and stuff can be. It's really shocking. So decants, which are basically just smaller bottles that people will split up from their bigger bottles. You know, it's like selling a car for parts. People will buy a full bottle of something and then, you know, maybe sell the decants, and then, you know, maybe make a couple bucks on over what the price of the full bottle was. Nothing wrong with that. Then you're bringing the product to the masses and allowing people who might not have normally an opportunity to use this stuff. You give them an opportunity to use it. So I think it's a good idea, Peter. And that's my opinion, since you asked for it on your Facebook. Good idea. Do it. I'd be a customer. I'm really liking this scent, Peter. A lot better than I thought it would. Hemingway. Papa, they call him. Alright. Alright, that was it. Already almost 18 minutes. Just wanted to say hi and, you know, put a little spotlight on the Hemingway. I'm going to finish up, touch up, and then I am actually going to finish with kind of another classic. It is the newer rendition of Old Spice from Barrister and Mann. Reserve Spice, it's their knockoff, well, knockoff dupe, whatever you want to call it, of Old Spice. You know, trying to keep with the classic American stuff theme. But that was it. Just a shave. Want to say hi. Hemingway, it's now being sold as The Novelist on the club. In the club on Peter's Shaving Shop online. So that's it. Just want to say hey. So hope everybody's well. Have a good day.